Welcome to the Stress-Free Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Block. As always, I want to inspire, entertain, and educate you on the best tools and technologies out there. My goal is to help make your practice and career more profitable, efficient, and most importantly, more enjoyable. And check out all of my nonfiction and children's books on Amazon, and check out the stressfreedentist.com for any upcoming events. And if you're feeling you're a dental professional that's burnt out, or you just feel stuck or want to get to that next level, visit the International Academy of Dental Life Coaches or www.iadlc.com, and we'll get you matched up with a life coach that understands dentistry. I also wanted to thank our amazing sponsor, Equa Marketing. They have helped me and my practice over the years to improve with SEO and website performance. And to find out how you can make your practice dominate in your area, go to www.equa.com/MSMSFD to book your complimentary meeting. Again, that's www.ekwa.com/MSMSFD. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode. And I am joined by Rob Brenneise. He is the Chief Growth Officer of Glidewell Dental Labs. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Good morning and appreciate you having me.
Did I get your name right?
You did.
Okay. Awesome. That was a good start.
Yes.
All right, my man. I've actually met Rob a few times. I've been over to the Glidewell facilities a few different times in the past year. Great guy, great leader, and looking forward to this episode and hearing all about your journey and all about Glidewell. But let's first find out, how did you even get involved in dentistry and become the chief growth officer of Glidewell?
Yeah, so great question. I guess I'm going on 36 years in dental. So my whole career is in dental, and 1988, I needed a summer job, and my roommate said he was working at a cool place. Happened to be a dental company. So really a dumb luck that I got into the dental space. And that summer job turned into almost 20 years at a company. Denmat was my first start. I grew up in that company. And the really unique part of the story is I never went back to school. That summer of May of 88 to December, I was doing sales, dental sales, and made more money than my mom and dad were making. And so never went back. And, fortunately for me, it turned into a career and worked out, because it could have turned into a true summer job, and who knows where I would have been. But
so this was, did you say during college, this was a summer job, and you ended up staying and not going back to school?
That is true. 1 year of college. It was supposed to just be a summer job, and then, keep going to school. And it was just, like I said, the sales at the time was more money than, I had seen, or my parents.
And this was at Denmat. And how did you transition into getting the job at Glidewell?
Well, obviously being in the dental lab space, my whole career, know Glidewell, had known some people here, and throughout my career, I've been with four, 5 companies in the 30-something years. But where I was prior to Glidewell was with a small startup company, and it was sold, and I knew I wasn't going with it, and just happened to, through contacts at Glidewell, just touch base with them, to let them know the transition and checking in. And they just said, I think it's perfect timing. I think we have something that would be great. And that happened to be Glidewell IO, was the new product and opportunity they would be launching. And I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to lead that back in 2017.
And can you explain what Glidewell.io is?
Yeah, so thank you. Glidewell.io is the Glidewell's in-office solution. So it's their in-office mill, so dental offices can offer same-day dentistry. What, if I could elaborate a little, one of the unique things about that is, who better to make an in-office mill than the biggest lab? in the country, right? Because we get asked a lot, why would a lab make a mill when it's going to take work away from the lab? And there's nobody better, in a better position to understand making crowns, and then also understanding what a workflow in a dental office is and how it's different than a lab, because you don't want to become a lab in your office. And those are some of the pain points Glidewell had the opportunity to address when bringing a mill to market, which is both cost, materials, trying to remove the steps in an office, make it more efficient and easier for those that maybe hadn't adopted chairside at this point or didn't like the experience they had.
Yeah, so I'm actually a fast mill user. I have the fast mill and I have the scanner. So I have, the whole workflow, and I love it. I've been practicing 20 years, and I just got tired of making temporary crowns and the whole waiting process. And there's just so many reasons why I wanted to get involved with same day milling. And working with the fast mill has been a game changer for me. Can you talk a little bit about the fast mill? What's the process? How long does it take to mill a crown? What's the material?
Absolutely. So again, I think one of the advantages in this category of maybe not being first to market is as I mentioned before, we could look back and look at all the pain points of everything that was out there. And so you mentioned materials. All the materials for the Glidewell IO mill are materials made here on the campus behind me, including Bruxer. So the same Bruxer crown you get from the lab, you can now mill in the office. But one of the things they were able to do, which nobody else can do at the moment, is mill a fully sintered zirconia block. So when it comes out of the mill, you just polish it and place it. You don't have to fire it and glaze it and stain it. And that's the eliminating, the steps, so you're not a lab tech in an office. And then the software is proprietary. And that's the AI and the machine learning that we use here on the campus, floor back there that's making millions of crowns. This is not an off-the-shelf software program. It was created by the Glidewell software team for the lab, and that has translated into being an offering we could bring to the office with that AI. And you talked about time. One of the things, just in the meeting downstairs, we have a class going on with about 100 IO users, is we just had a software update probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and hopefully you noticed it too, Dr. Block. The crowns are milling 10-20% faster with just a milling strategy software update. So you can now mill a sintered Bruxer crown in about 32 minutes, and it used to be 45 minutes. And the team feels with continued learning in the AI enhancements, they can actually even get that lower just by simply having software up. The mill, no change in mill, it's not an upgrade, just software updates.
I did notice that, and that's a big deal. It's about approximately 13-minute difference. That's 32 minutes. I tell patients, you can go for a walk. You can stay in the operatory. Most patients leave. They go to like Trader Joe's, which is a grocery store next to us. They go for a walk. Some go home. But it's really quick. And for me, the same day dentistry, that same day opportunity to be able to do that is great for me. It's great for the patient, and it's also great for production. So it's for me, I've been super happy, and I didn't do anything. The update just did it itself. All of a sudden, it was faster. So that is super cool. And now, tell me about the different materials that we can mill.
Sure. So yeah, Bruxer now for your posterior, and that's really the kind of the flagship product. It's the bread and butter in most offices. Bruxer Aesthetic block is available, fully sintered, and that's the more aesthetic zirconia that you can use in the anterior. We also have a Camouflage Now, which is a hybrid material, mills in about 7-8 minutes. Ceramic composite. You can do inlays, onlays, crowns, veneers. And then two surprise products for us is we have two temporary materials, Biotemps and Biotemps Now and Biotemps Bridge Block, which have nothing to do with same day, but you can mill a lab quality temporary in 7 or 8 minutes. And then the patient comes back, the tissue is healthier, better, and it's a lot easier than, the analog way. And then we just, our last new product release was the ability to mill Bruxer bridges. So you can mill a fully sintered 3 to 4 unit Bruxer bridge. And what I was telling our group downstairs this morning, pretty confident this year in the second half of the year, we'll bring to market Obsidian Now. So currently we have a product called Obsidian. It's the only product in our product line that must be fired in an oven. And we'll be bringing Obsidian Now, which means no oven wait. So we're really excited about that because that's a lithium disilicate material, gorgeous aesthetics, translucent, and really think it's going to allow the offices to do a lot more anterior cases without having to go through all those steps.
Oh, that's great. And now what about what's in store for the future? Last I was there was some talk about implant screw retain possibilities. What's in store for the future?
So that's still on the roadmap, and the team's working really hard trying to get that cross the finish line to release this year as well, so that you would be able to mill a screw retain crown in your mill. Again, nothing on your end you have to change. It's a software update and a new block, and we're really trying our best to get that out Q4. And then the Obsidian Now is probably going to be Q3. So those are 2 new product updates coming second half of this year, which is right around the corner at this point.
Love it. Now we've been talking about the IO and the in-office. What about the main lab? Is the main lab, is it all in the US? Just give us some stats and like an overview of the main Glidewell Lab.
Absolutely, would love to. So right in Irvine, the campus here that I'm sitting in is 30 acres. It's the entire city block. There's about 5,000 of us here on campus. And yeah, to your question, no, all of US and Canada is made right here in the US. Glidewell does have labs in Latin America, but those labs are to support the Latin America area, or dentists in Latin America. Some of the neat stats for Glidewell, 53 years in business, privately owned by Mr. Glidewell, but we work with about 80,000 dentists in a year, and each month we work with 45 to 50,000 dentists who are sending cases to Glidewell. And that equates to about 10 to 12,000 cases a day come in, which means we're shipping 10 to 12,000 cases a day out. And the logistics, I still don't understand how they do 20 to 25,000 cases a day and get it to the right office most of the time. And then it's open 24/7. There's 900, I think we have 900 people on the graveyard shift. So that just nothing ever stops moving. That's why their turnaround times are sometimes quicker than the lab across the street from the office.
Yeah, I've been practicing 20 years, and I'm a solo office owner. I have a partner, and it's a multi-specialty practice, but I did associate in many offices, and I think every office that I had either worked in or talked to had used or known about Glidewell, and that's been 20 years. I went to visit, and there's just something about the culture there. Everyone seems so happy there. Tell me about the culture of the lab and how you or Mr. Glidewell have created that.
Yeah, I'd love to. And my honeymoon's over. I've been here 7-8 years. So I can speak to that. The culture is everything they said it was, I thought it was, and you hope it is. And you've experienced it being here. And I hear that quite a lot. And it's an amazing culture. It was, I mean, I've learned so much in the 7 or 8 years, even though I had almost 30 years experience before. But the culture, for being the size the company is, one of the things I hear offices tell us a lot is it still feels small.
Hmm.
And as when you're here and you get to meet people and connect with people, there's generations that work here. There's husband wives, whether they were husband wife before, I don't know. Fathers, sons. It's just amazing, and they they man, it's liberating for me. After my career so far and being able to work in this environment, they're very open and transparent, which was an adjustment for me to learn. That's not normal, at least in my career with other companies. And so everybody just knows what's going on, what the company's striving for, what they're investing in, and everybody just buys in. And I think it's that awareness. You understand why some things are being done, or maybe why something can't be done, but you understand why. And the other unique thing about the company for me is, 100% of the profits go back into the company to reinvest into the company to, hopefully keep us in the forefront ahead, offer careers to 5,400 people, as Mr. Glidewell says. That's what keeps him up at night, is he's got 5,400 families that rely on him. And that's why all the money goes back into the business, to, again, keep us in the forefront, investing in technology, hopefully creating new products like Bruxer, back in the day, IO, and some, other things coming.
I just want to stick on the leadership topic. I went through dental school, and I came out with the bare minimum clinical skills, and I had to work hard on my clinical skills, but I had to work even harder, and I struggle with it every day in being a leader. It's just not something I was born with or taught. Um, what's your advice on being a leader and how to lead a team?
So I think I would have been in the same boat when we talked about when I started my career. So I was that sales rep back then in the 88. And after about a year and a half, they were looking for a manager. And I said, oh, well, I want to do that. I had no experience, but I thought, well, I'm doing, at the time I was a number one sales rep. I'll just tell everybody to do what I'm doing. And it'd be that simple. And I quickly learned it's not that simple. So, leadership to me, and I grew up, I was afforded the opportunity to grow into roles versus the experience. And I think a big part for me was, as I look back, was always essentially some form of that transparency I spoke about. I think keeping everybody, with the eye on the prize, the goal is the team, not the individual. And I've been and seen people who, cultures where they don't care about anything other than what they do. Everything could be burning down around them in the company, and they wouldn't care as long as they were exceeding. And so keeping everybody up to date and understanding, what the big goal is and getting that buy-in. And I think one of the quotes I heard recently was, don't focus on results, focus on what leads to results. And I think that's very well said. And just being able to, it's the SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, really having a plan and a way to get there, and the team will follow and buy into it.
Now, speaking of team players, did I hear right? The last time I was there, Dr. Chi mentioned that you had all your crowns done, right? By the
Yeah.
lab, and even wanted to get them redone. I mean, talk about a team player.
Yeah, I'm
Tell
a
me about
walking
that.
billboard. Yeah. So I have 10 veneers that were milled with the IO mill, minor obsidian, which is the lithium silicate. 100% no prep are my veneers, which I think, not everybody would want to maybe mill 10 veneers in their office, but it shows what the mill can do. If it can mill 10 units, and I wasn't what you might envision as a no prep, all open contacts. I had none. But it could mill to those knife edge or feather edge margins, 2/10, 3/10 of a millimeter. Yeah, I got a couple Bruxer crowns, a camouflage crown. I'm worried about the screw when we get the screw retain crown, because I don't need one, but I might end up with one.
And you said walking billboard. I've done a same day crown on one of my hygienists, and I think I know some dentists don't like working on staff or their families. I think it's such a great way They become champions of your office. And if someone has a question about, the same day crown or a crown, I'll have my hygienist pop in and tell them about their experience. So I'm a big believer
Yeah,
in.
I agree. And that, yeah, whether same day, you could say the same around clear aligners, right? If the staff's wearing them and can speak to the experience, if you're doing veneers or you whitening, whatever you want to do in the practice, if you have somebody there that can speak to it. And it's the old adage, you're supposed to say what you say as the doctor. Um, that I always hear speakers talk about that, well, they just say Dr. Block wants a new car. And then when you walk out of the office, they'll talk to the staff. So yeah, if they can speak to the experience and be a live show and tell, I've always seen that in my career help drive case acceptance in the practices.
Now, one of the other things that I really enjoyed was actually going to the facility. I'm in Boston, and it was worth the flight to go from Boston. I went to LAX and then to the John Wayne Airport, which is like right across the street from the facilities there. The classes, the CE was amazing. It was first of all a great group of people,
Thank you.
like-minded, next level dentists and awesome presenters. Can you tell me about the CE and the classes that you provide?
Absolutely. So yeah, we've got three training facilities on campus, and I think I mentioned in the morning we've got three courses going on today. But our CE, CE is CE, but when you come to Glidewell, the experience I really think is second to none versus maybe sitting in a hotel in Chicago and getting CE. And we're so committed to getting people out here to get the whole experience. And we always take time to give a tour of the lab so they can see the technology and everything that we're implementing. I think we have the best value in dentistry because our registrations include 2 nights hotel, and you probably can't get 2 nights hotel for the cost of our registration. So, any course we do here, and we do implants, aesthetics, sleep, dentures, digital. I mean, we offer a complete curriculum, and there's courses almost every week. And many of those courses, part of that experience is we get a chance to take the guests on the Glidewell yacht or to Mr. and Mrs. Glidewell's house. And those things are to just get a chance to be more than a doctor and or a customer in a company, right? To get a chance to connect and try to make friends is, hopefully you feel we have with you in your office and really become a part of the practice to help both of us succeed.
Yeah, I took a couple of my assistants to one of the training programs, and I got to go on the yacht. I've been to the manor. It was awesome. All right, I want to wrap up with two final questions that I always end up with. Rob, what advice? Well, first of all, how would we find out more? And then also, what advice would you give to the young dentists out there?
Okay, you find out more, you could go to just glidewell.com, and that can get you to anywhere, whether it's education, lab offerings, the Glidewell IO system we discussed. You can email me at just robert.brenneise@glidewell.com. But the advice, I'm going to go back to the quote I shared about don't focus on results, focus on what leads to the results, is just a great quote and a great way to approach things. But I think for the dentist is never stop learning. Find your passion and absorb and learn and everything you can. And you mentioned the CE classes you've been to here, and because when you're there with those like-minded individuals, I think that's where you learn almost more than you do at the class potentially, when you get the time to connect with other people with the same thought process or passions. And I guess I go back to you mentioned the leadership, and you've got a team, you're a CEO of a practice, of a business, and same thing, it's the transparency, being straightforward up front, clear goals, and getting everybody to understand why you're trying to do that, and then what we have to do there. And it makes a world of difference when everybody's on the same page. Even if sometimes you have to say no to something, they understand why because of how it fits into what you're currently trying to do.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I love the never stop learning because, it's for me, it's so re-energizing to learn a new technology or new treatment. That's really how I've been able to fight off burnout. And the fast mill was one of those game changers for me where I never thought I'd be doing same day crowns, and I took the leap of faith, and I love it. I think that's such great advice. So, Rob Brenneise, thank you so much for joining us. Such a great episode.
Absolutely a pleasure, and we appreciate you, Dr. Block. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to the Stress Free Dentist podcast. And don't hesitate to get in touch with me at info@thestressfreedentist.com. And if you haven't already, please subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Until the next episode, I'm Dr. Eric Block, the Stress Free Dentist.